prestige, often corrupt, Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam stood tall as a beacon of integrity, his life a testament to the enduring power of principle and compassion, a pioneering medical doctor who brought healing to the afflicted, while his fearless statesmanship helped shape the destiny of a nation. But it was his courageous decision to renounce British honors in protest of colonialism and injustice that cemented his place in history. Join me as we delve into the extraordinary life of Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam, a true giant of African history whose legacy continues to inspire generations. This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Mr. Daniel Oku. He is the Executive Director of Daniel Oku Leadership Foundation. Also joining us on the line is Nze Okpani Nkama Jr. He's a veteran broadcaster and historian. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, let me start a conversation with you, Mr. Oku. You have been on this. Where I used to work, I've interviewed you even on radio everywhere, talking about Francis Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam. And the first thing will be, what's the passion? Why do you always remember Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam, especially at a time like this?
When you talk about passion, something drives your passion. And then because of this, my leadership program or leadership activity, we find a man that that has all it takes, because we have gone through the roots, the background, and then we discover that leadership is a serious issue in Nigeria, and it has continued to be a serious issue. And beyond that serious issue of leadership, there is this issue of character, because we now discover that 95% of leadership failure are character failure. And when you have individuals who don't have character in course of their leadership, they find out that they will be there occupying the position, but they will not make the right impact. So when we come across this gentleman, and then through his biography, I never know him, I never met him, but I now discovered that he's a man of integrity and he's a man of character that should be. In short, we see him as a role model that should also we should advocate for his lifestyle, so that other people can know that after you have gone, there's people who should have or who will follow you, know your lifestyle, know what you have done. And then so we discovered that he's a man that should not be left behind. And that's why since 2020 yearly, I've been talking about him, just like you rightly said when you were with Dream FM, and then now we're still talking about it, because it's not that you hold a position and after that everybody forgets you. No, we see him as a role model, because he has done so much. He has sacrificed a lot. Imagine then becoming a medical doctor and then using this profession to project maternity, establishment of maternity and hospital and all the rest of it. So we look at his life holistically. We discover that he's a man that we should talk about in terms of character.
All right, so let's talk to Nze Okpani Nkama Jr., who is joining us from Ebonyi State, Abakaliki precisely. So talk to us who Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam. Help us, take us down memory lane. What was it that shaped the character of the man we are discussing tonight?
Thanks for having me on this program today. I want to thank you, Alex, and I also say good evening, leader Daniel Oku, who has actually been a great Ibiamist. And if you look at his work, we are still at it. That's his biography. And In it, there's a space where we say that we hope, by His grace, that there will be great Ibiamists. And Mr. Daniel is already showing that he's a great Ibiamist, and we thank God for that. Now, going back when I am his kinsman, not only ordinary kinsman, we are also blood brothers by what in Africa, what we call Iku or Nwere, that is a maternal lineage. So we belong to the same maternal lineage, and apparently meaning that we are blood brothers. So when the man died on July 1, 1995, so many things were said about him. So many wrong things, from figments of imaginations of those who were so enthusiastic about talking about him because of the character he was. So I actually came up in trying to put the records straight. And that was what led me into doing this work called Akanu Ibiam, which is under reverse. We're doing a revision of it, which by His grace, between now and the first quarter of next year, we would have come out with it for the general public to see. And that's a complete work on him. Now, having said this, Ibiam was born, as you already know, November 29, 1906. In other words, he was born at the dawn of this century and then departed the world at the dusk of this century, July 1, 1995. Now, at home, a typical African man, our lifestyle is tangled with our culture, very strong inviolate culture we have in Africa. So he came up. Now, most people will say that he was trained by the missionaries, but that's not correct. Dr. Ibiam wasn't trained by the missionaries. Dr. Ibiam was actually trained by his elder brother because he had two siblings who were senior to him. In fact, he was the third son or the third child of the parents, being the second son because the first was his elder brother, Samuel Aka, who actually trained him. And then Samuel Aka passed through Hopewado Training Institute and then facilitated Akanu Ibiam's coming to the Hopewado Training Institute at the same time. And from there, he moved to King's College, Lagos. And it was in King's College, after making waves, especially in soccer, we'll come to that, and that he moved from King's College to England to study medicine. And that was way back in 1925. And then when he got to England, of course, he met two other Igbos, and essentially Dr. Paul, the man that became the very first medical doctor in Igbo land, so who was from Alpha. And then there was the third one, and that's the man that became the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria. I'm talking about Dr. Herbert Cordelinha. And then while they were there as medical students, Dr. Ibiam passed through St. Andrews University to read his medicine. But unfortunately, in 1929, he lost the elder brother, and it looked like the whole world was falling apart for him. But he wasn't going to continue with his study, but there was a family he was living with out there in Scotland, the Nurus, then who actually held him and ensured that he completed his study because he was already at an advanced point of a couple of either 1 or 2 years to go when he lost his elder brother. But he managed to scale through. So when he finished, it was time. Now, let me say this. While they were out there, Ibiam, being a kind of a union person, was organizing the students, especially the Igbo students, into a union in which there, if you get to the meeting and you speak English, they will find you. So as early as that time, so they were doing all that. Now there was something else too. He was collaborating with Dr. Olu and then Harvard coordinating, and they had an agreement when they graduate and come back to Nigeria that they were going to found a hospital together to help the people of the East. This was not like find your own hospital to make money, but they will find a joint hospital where they will all serve. And Ibiam was to be the gynecologist there. Dr. Omo was to be the general surgeon.
All right, so I think we'll have lost him. So let's see if we can reconnect with
That will
him.
be to help.
Okay, he's back.
So, are we there?
Yes, I was there. We lost you for a moment, but you are back.
Okay, so what I'm seeing was that when the three of them, Dr. Omo, Ibiam, and Cornelia, actually they were going to found the hospital when they get back to Africa, to Nigeria. But somewhere along the line, that dream didn't work out. Omo had to come back earlier. I think that was way back in 1932, because he graduated first, but they were all contemporaries anyway. Now he returned to Nigeria in 1932 and became the very first medical doctor of the Igbo nation. Now Ibiam followed as the second, and that was in 1934. Now, and later, Cordelia came back, I think, sometime in 1935. Now, why wouldn't they found the hospital? Because they came back at different points. Now, the arrival of Ibiam brought something else. And you wonder, why did Ibiam's arrival from England became something else? Now, the truth is that while in King's College, Lagos, Ibiam made waves in soccer, and Ibiam became the very first non-Yoruba or non-Yoruba person to be made captain of the King's College. And so then in the field of soccer, Ibiam was a great man. And Igbo in Lagos, as at that time, saw Ibiam as one kind of star for them. And he made them proud. It was then in King's College that he saw his wife. And then, of course, the lady Olayinka, also studied in England and studied in Aberdeen University. So they met there. Now, when Ibiam came back, they eventually got married sometime way back in the early 1940s. Now, but before Ibiam left England, something touched him. He decided to be a medical missionary. And then he applied to be employed as a medical missionary. But as at that time, this racism was something else. So what the Scotland Mission did, instead of employing him, they referred him back to Nigeria and said, when you get to Nigeria, go to Calabar. And then when he came back, the moment he arrived and he made waves, the Northern Region government then requested to employ him to found a hospital and man in Sokoto. But he didn't want to do that because he didn't want to work for any government. He wanted to be a medical missionary, which he became. And the excuse he gave was that he had an old mother to take care of, and Sokoto to the east is not a small distance, so he will not be able to do it. So he came back. Now he joined the Scotland Mission in Calabar, and they posted him to Abreva and asked him. So it was at Abreva he founded with the people. Mark this. They founded the Akahaba Hospital at Abreva. And it was not the missionaries that paid for that hospital. Ibiam mobilized the Abreva people whom he saw that were great entrepreneurs. And through this aid system, they were able to mobilize and then founded that Akahaba Hospital. And Ibiam nurtured it. While in Abreva, he inspired a lot of people. Inspired so many. Like, if you remember Dr. Anaga Ezike, who was also one of Nigeria's statesmen, a father, because of Ibiam, and sent him to go and read medicine. And Anaga Ezike came back and became part of Ibiam's crew, you know, and so many things. Now, from while in Aberiba and nurturing that hospital, and everywhere he worked with a wife. Everywhere he worked with a wife. Of course, the wife studied pharmacy and became a nursing, of course, did nursing too. And that was why they were like a twin put together in doing what they were doing. So that was for his early life. And from Abreba, he was posted to Itu. From Itu, he was moved to Uburu Joint Hospital. Uburu is now in Ebonyi. So he was there. And then it was while at Uburu, and each place he left great footprints. Anywhere he went to, he left great footprints. But at the same time, now let's come to how he got into politics. As at that moment, he had issue at Abreba with these medical missionaries who were so envious, who tried to segregate him, who, as a black person, in fact, his salary was even so small, smaller than, well, why he was much more qualified than the white people that were here. But they still segregated him and wanted and lorded it over him. But he said something that if these people can leave their beautiful England to come home, to come down here to Africa and bear the danger of mosquito and every other thing, to work here for the good of my people, why wouldn't I do that? That was his first vow, why he took to medical mission. And so, but Dr. Ibiam was indeed an activist. He took to fighting this racism. So by 1946, when an opportunity for representation in the regional assembly came, the entire Afikpo region didn't have any choice. They had their son who had made him proud, and so they needed him to be there. And so he took leave from the medical missionary service and went into politics. And don't forget, during that period, to be a member of the House was a part-time thing. It was not an occupation as people have turned it into. It was a part-time thing. It was essentially for service. So, but he made great marks. He made glorious marks. It will shock you to hear that in 1948, it was while he was in the National Assembly that the opportunity for a motion to found a university for Nigeria, because the other university was in Freetown, Sierra Leone, then Chimota College in Ghana, then the next was to be founded here in Nigeria. And what university was that? That's the University College in Ibadan. So when he moved that motion, it was successful. So when it was time to find it, at least he told me this. Now he was given the opportunity to choose as a man whose motion, went successful, that brought about the founding of the hospital, the university. And he chose to put it in Ibadan. I'll confess this. When he told me that, I asked him, why didn't you choose Enugu, your home district? He looked at me. I said, you see, your new generation. Everybody wants his own. Now he had to choose Ibadan because, as at that time, Ibadan was the largest city in West Africa and was a pride of every Nigerian. And that was why he chose that the university has to be founded in Ibadan. That's it. You wanted to ask me a question?
All right, I will come back to you in a moment. Let me ask Mr. Oku a question before I come back to you. And thank you so much for taking us down memory lane. Mr. Oku, a few things have been named after Sir Dr. Akanu Ibiam. And a lot of people, especially the young generation, wouldn't know the reason behind the naming of the Enugu airport after Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam. Anybody hearing that that's the name of that airport now, or the person the airport has been named after, the person must be wondering, who is this man? Why is it that he deserved to have that airport named after him? Talk to us about what also propels you to continue to remember his legacy every year, unstopping.
Yeah, like like you rightly said, being after being the former governor of southeastern region, now we have 5 states that makes southeastern region. So after being the governor of southeastern region, it was actually the war or the Biafran war that actually truncated his position as a Southeast, and he lost that position. So he found out that these are something that we want to advocate, so that the younger generation will now know that this is a man who has held as a governor of former Eastern region, and then what he has done, so that naming of that airport is also part of his legacy. So they are using that to remember him, because imagine then as a medical doctor, and then decide to go into missionary instead of looking for a white collar job where but he opted to go into missionaries. Just like what Banin Kama said, that if those people from England will leave the comfort of their zone, do you understand, and then come here to be doing missionary, I think that would also inspired him, and that's also motivated him. And they found out that that's where we are so lacking, because if somebody who have been enjoying all those good things decided to come to Africa, and then you ask yourself what are what are they actually looking for, or what is inspiring them. So I think these are part of the motivation that we now say, okay, that this man, yes, is not a normal somebody who looking for breadwinner, or somebody who looking for ready-made food. He want to see part of, because those people, they will inspire him, and then he will go to interior. Imagine those. So these are part of what inspired us, or these are part of what motivated. He said that this is a man of character that we should not left behind. And since 2021, we've been talking about him, because 29 every 29 is birthday. So we are using that opportunity to talk about him, to feel that if not any other state, at least Ebonyi state should also adopt him, and then see the man played a very relevant, both in the establishment of Ebonyi state, and then what he has done in terms of medical care, medical establishing medical outfit, and then where, I mean, it's something the government people, but I don't know why they're looking at there. It's like they're not interested. So that's why we are coming from behind, talking it at our own level. There's one thing, there are things within your control, and then we are doing what is within our control. Yes, exactly. And due to we don't have resources, and that's why, like 2021, I did it at a elaborate. I invited. In short, I was expecting that the southeastern governors will participate, and then we went to, we did an elaborate activity. But since then, due to financial constraint, we are constrained to come to radio. Just like now, this year, we are now having it at Eastern Eye, just to show the world that this man has done something, and then we should not forget in a hurry, because part of why corruption is a bit high, that after stealing, but if you have done the right thing, and then you be remembered, and every person wants to be remembered, that you have served as a former Eastern region, you have done this, and then even at times when you want to talk about it, people are focused, maybe you want to make money from what you are talking about, but it's like selfless service we are doing. We are talking about him, trying to carry out advocacy. If we have money, and then even to an extent, I was taking it with the Center for Memory, so that they will be part of the collaboration, of which they have they have accepted to be part of the collaboration. And then we fixed it on the 6th of 6th of December, because they have a lot of activity that they couldn't accommodate it this 29th. So that was with Ifani. So that's ongoing, to show you that we are not relenting. It's not something we just do because we want to make money, and then at the end of the day, because one thing about passion drives you. It's a passion I have, and I've said that in as much as I live, I stay on this earth, that every November we'll talk about it. We'll talk about him as an individual and talk about his legacy, like what you said now about international airport, about polytechnic to Wana. It shows the man has done so much that even no other state government, Ebonyi state is supposed to be talking about this man, at least showing that yes, he has done well for people of Ebonyi, because I'm sure he's instrumental to establishment of Ebonyi state or creation of Ebonyi state, because you know at this level he has done so much. But yeah, well, we continue to cry. I hope that one day people like us who have had us will spread it further.
All right. We'll take a very quick break. When we return, we'll find out from Nze Okpaninkama Jr. those turning points in Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam's life, especially at the point that he denounced his British honors. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back to the Eastern Hour here on Afia TV. We're reaching you live from Enugu, Southeast Nigeria. My name is Alex Obodo. Nze Okpaninkama Jr., Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam wasn't just a man who would take anything thrown at him. And just help us put it in perspective, the circumstances that led to his denouncing the British honors. That's the OBE, as it were.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I was asking about the circumstances that led to Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam denouncing his British honors.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me, before I get to that, let me quickly survey. When Chifu
I think we'll have a challenge with the connection. We'll take a very quick break to sort out that so we can talk to Nze Okpaninkama Jr. Join us after the break. You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV. We have Nze Okpaninkama Jr. back. You were about to explain to us the circumstances behind Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam's relinquishing of his British honors. Just help us put it in the perspective.
Okay, yeah, I was saying just before I get to that, for the records, when Mr. Oku was talking, he talked about the Civil War truncating the positions of the governors, and then they lost. But most times people mistake the fact that the military men that wanted to take the lives of the politicians of the time, wanted to take the lives of all the politicians, but most people don't remember that the governors were different from the premiers. And the governors were, as a matter of fact, turned to special advisors to the military governors. So when for instance, in the southeast, in the eastern region, Dr. Okpara, who was a premier, was rollicked out of office. Akanu Ibiam became the special advisor to the military governor, just as Sir Kashim Ibrahim, who was the governor of the north, became the special advisor to Hassan Kassina, and Sir Adeleye, and the Oni of Ife also became the special advisor to the governor, military governor of the West. So, and they sustained those positions, and Otibian sustained his position through the war, all through the war. And but sometime in 1967, when the war was breaking, Otibian, who go on sometime referred to as a Scottish man, because he schooled in Scotland, passed through Scottish schools, and practiced his medicine through Scottish missionary hospitals and all that. So was expecting the British authorities of the time to call Nigeria together and then sort out this matter. But no, to his amazement, he found out that the British authorities were really arming the Federal Republic of Nigeria against the Biafra. And he couldn't understand it. And before then, he was a man with so many honors, plenty of honors, that he ranked the most decorated African church leader of his time, and rising up to the point of being one of the 6 presidents of the World Council of Churches. So when he looked at this, I remember, let me quote what he said. And he said from the book, he said, they gave me the order of the British Empire, OBE. They gave me the KBE, Knight Commander of the British Empire. Sir, I could not understand it. But when the Nigerian war came, instead of Britain, who brought us together to be our father, to call us together and ask, why are you fighting? They gave guns to one side to kill the other. To show my opposition, I wrote it. I wrote to Queen Elizabeth, telling her what happened. And I said, to show my disagreement, I give you back all the honors you gave me. Take your knighthood and everything. Go. And she never answered back. So those circumstances made him vow. And if I said this, don't be surprised, that Dr. Ibiam was the most committed Igbo leader in the course of Biafra. He was the most committed. You see, while shortly before the war ended, sometime in 1969, when Biafran was sinking, there was a rumor that Dr. Ibiam had been killed in Biafra. So the World Council of Churches were like, can anybody tell us what is happening to our president? So they wrote Governor Ojukwu, the head of state, Ojukwu then, and already Ibiam was having a little face off with Ojukwu. Because of what he saw, he looked at what was going on as not deviating from the course of Biafra. So he was having issues and refused to do.
Well, I'm afraid we have that challenge again with Kama's connection. Let's come back to let's come back to Mr. Oku, who is in the studio here as we wrap up this conversation. Are there lessons that the younger generation can learn from the life, times, and legacies of Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam?
Of course, there are many of them, and that's why we are advocating his lifestyle, and then at least, if not for any other thing, selfless service. And selfless service is not common with our leaders these days. Everybody enters, he tries what he can get for his brother, but he was rendering selfless service. Selfless service, using his profession to see that things get better. Like part of the selfless service now, when that war was going, like he said that he was expecting the British to become a father instead of taking side. So since they decided to take side, he now returned all those. How many of our leaders can do it today? Can say that is there yet? He decided to return all those, and he was also during that war, because of his connection, because of his whatever, he was going to get there. This, I don't know whether you experienced it. There is welfare they used to give people who are who are just in question of, because hunger has taken another dimension. So malnutrition and every other thing. So he was connecting the world to make sure that they bring food, so that his people will not die just like that, or to reduce the rate at which people are dying. So these are part of the selfless service. But if you look around now, you said, how many of these people, instead of this, they will continue to export, and then use do advantage to siphon people resources. So for me, that is a great because not every person can do it. It looks a very non-issue and they're using your position, because if most of these our leaders have used their position, have used their connection with the Western world, we wouldn't be talking of where we are today. But if found out that they are using their position to create more problem, to talk about nepotism, to talk about, I mean, it's a bit sad, and that's why we are not getting it right.
Well, I don't know whether we still have Banikama Jr. on the line. We had issues connecting with him a little earlier, but if we don't, apologies for that. We will be ending the conversation. But just one thing is
Well,
okay. You can hear me. So
I can hear you.
as we end this conversation, currently we have the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu, named after Sir Francis Akanu Ibiam, and of course, the Polytechnic, Federal Polytechnic, Owana Afikbo, Ebonyi State. Do you think that those things named after him are enough? Well, how much more do you think can still be done to honor the memory and legacies of Sir Francis Akanu, if you like, Ezogo Akanu, because he relinquished the Sir and everything he got from the British? So, I'm not sure you heard, I don't know whether you heard my question. All right, the network is letting us down. I have to thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Oku, the executive director of the Daniel Oku Leadership Foundation. Thank you for championing this cause.
Thank you very much.
We urge you to keep it up.
There's no going back.
All right. Also, we also thank Nzel Paninkama Jr., who joined us from Abakaliki, Ebonyi State this evening. Of course, unfortunately, the network wouldn't let us get some more inputs from Nzel. Thank you all the same for joining us. That's the Eastern Eye for tonight. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.